Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Today, Monica Main will tell us the secret of how we can think and grow rich. Monica, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
As I said to you before the show, I'm truly excited. I think our listeners will be able to tell that from my voice, because we're talking about one of my favorite subjects. At least you certainly are. I'm just asking the questions. But you've written a book, The Lost Secret, Unlocking the Hidden Chapters of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Couldn't be a more perfect book for our show. But tell our audience, if someone is not familiar, who is Napoleon Hill, and tell us about his book, Think and Grow Rich.
So Napoleon Hill, he actually was more of a metaphysical guy, where he was really into just finding the secrets of, I guess, the universe to be able to attract the things that you want. So he was one of the pioneers of, you see the book and The Secret, the movie The Secret, and he was more of a pioneer, stretching back to the teens and the 20s when he started studying this stuff. And a lot of his initial studies came from a guy named Charles Hannell, who was actually even before Napoleon Hill. So it was more of a metaphysical New Age thing that maybe the world just wasn't ready for back at that time.
And if I remember from what I've read about him and heard about him, he met with Andrew Carnegie, and basically Mr. Carnegie said to him, I want you to study the philosophy of success and produce writings on it, but you're going to do it for free, even though Andrew Carnegie was the richest man in the world at the time. And this was a 20-year commitment. Napoleon Hill, I think, had something like 1 minute to decide. Is that right? Do I remember that correctly?
He did. Yes, he did. Had 1 minute to decide to do this, and he decided to do it because he truly wanted to know the philosophies and the secrets behind those that were wealthy titans, and he wanted to ultimately become one of those himself. But in addition to that, he had always had a plan to write this book so that the common man and woman would know exactly how to become successful and wealthy. So that was the plan the whole time. In fact, one of the things I admire most about Andrew Carnegie, yes, he was the wealthiest man in the world at that time, a steel titan, and he wanted the common man and woman to know these secrets. And that's why he wanted Napoleon Hill to do this study and to write this book. But unfortunately, Andrew Carnegie died in 1919, and so when Napoleon Hill came out with this book, the rest of the elite were not so happy with the release of his book. So that's what I find most interesting, is that the wealthiest man in the world wanted everybody to be wealthy, but everybody else that was wealthy and elite and super powerful at that time did not want everybody to know this information.
And this goes back almost 100 years now. And yet Napoleon Hill is known, and if anybody gets in sales or training or persuasion, they're usually told about his books and advised to read them. Am I correct?
That is correct. In fact, this book has sold over 100 million copies since 1937. So in my opinion, there may be a bigger success in business book out there, but I don't know what that one would be.
And what I think is great to remind our audience, now we have shows like The Secrets of Success, and you can tune in to shows on TV, Success Through Real Estate or Gold Coins or something. But in 1937, this was a new frontier. This was brand new information. People didn't know about this. They were suspicious. Even I think they had a lip read to follow him once, the FBI did, to see what was this magical man doing and how was he making people rich. And it wasn't any scam or flim-flam. This was legitimate, and as you'll be telling us, I'm sure, very solid principles, etc., that anyone can follow. Now, we talked about him and your book does, but tell us a little bit about yourself, because you said in your book one day you realized you were living a lie, and to the outside you seem to have the perfect life. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how that dovetails with the book.
So I had been traveling a lot for business, and I always thought, like maybe what a lot of people think when you become rich and successful, that you have the world in the palm of your hands. And I felt that the more successful I became, the more isolated I became, and the more miserable I became. And I started to recollect on days where I didn't have very much, but I was happier. And I'm not entirely sure, what made me start thinking about these things, but I started to doubt the direction I was going in my life. I started to question, what am I doing? And I think it's just because when you make your whole life about material possessions and thinking that that's what that's what life is about when it comes to showing people that you're successful and showing yourself that you're successful, that really isn't what makes people happy. I mean, if you really think about it, and if you really drill down, I mean, if you think that the Lamborghini is going to be the thing that makes you happy, or the big mansion on the water is going to make you happy, you're going to find that if that's what you're constantly chasing after, you're going to be in this tailspin of constantly chasing and getting nowhere. So that's where I was at that time in my life.
So if we looked at you, and I know I've met you briefly, beautiful lady, attractive, you're an author, you're very successful, and yet you're to the outside world, we want to be like you, and you're saying you're living a lie.
I was living a lie, or feeling like I was living a lie, because yes, everybody thought that I was a successful person, but then I asked myself at the end of the day, why do I feel so crappy about all of this, and why do I not feel happy, like I should be ecstatic, like I just won the lottery, and I just don't? And I think it's because, I was doubting the direction I was going. I wasn't really truly passionate about what I was doing, and that's what I talk about in the book, is how to find that passion point. If you're trying to do something for money, it's probably not going to work out. But if you're doing something that you're passionate about, then every single day is going to be an amazing journey, and you're going to just be happy by taking that journey. So I wasn't doing that in my life. I was successful in my career, but I wasn't really entirely happy with my career, and I think that's what made all the difference.
And I have to tell our audience, I met Monica several months ago, and she said, I'm coming out with a book, and we were talking about it, and I said, will you send me one for our show? And she said, sure, I will. And out of the blue, the book popped up one day. I had actually forgotten that you had promised to send it to me, and here it was on my table. I said, I got so excited. And just as you said, live each day and enjoy what you do. I was truly excited because here's something on one of my favorite people in the world, Napoleon Hill, talking about his secret and new lost chapters, which we'll get into shortly. You actually have a copy of the original book, one of the original copies. Am I correct?
Well, see, there's some debate about that, because what people think is the original press copy from 1937, which was published in the spring of 1937. Yeah, I do actually have a first edition, but there's been some recent debate about whether or not that's actually been the first copy, because some people say that there was actually a draft before that was released to a handful of bookstores, and they were stripped out immediately by the likes of people like Henry Ford to make sure that it was edited out. And if you actually see, this is what I discovered when I started doing deep research on the real original book of Think and Grow Rich, is when I had to type the whole thing out. I typed it out from scratch. And I did this just to get a real feel and depth of the book. And this is when I started to realize that there was sentences that it felt like it was about to lead into something else, but it never did. And certain things seemed to be watered down. And I started to think, I bet you anything that rumor about there being another draft before the final publication came out in 1937, I'm thinking that that's really true, that there was another published version of Think and Grow Rich before the Think and Grow Rich that we've come to know came out. So I don't even know where the original is, and I don't think anybody has that one now.
Now, Monica, before we move ahead, I want our audience to know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Our special guest today is Monica Main. She's the author of The Lost Secret, Unlocking the Hidden Chapters of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Monica, please tell us, is there a website where we can find out more, and where is the book available?
So you can go to thelostsecret.com. It's thelostsecret.com, or you can go to amazon.com and get it, and it's going to be released November 5th.
Excellent, and just the kind of news we wanted to hear. Certainly I wanted to hear, because, as I said, I'm so excited about this. Now, you mentioned about The Lost Secret, and like any good movie, it almost looks like there's a plot that's going on as I read your book. One day you're sitting in a restaurant or a bar, and just you meet kind of a gentleman who comes up to you. Can you tell us about that story?
So I was at another conference, a business conference, and I sat down, as I generally do, and I ordered a drink and some food, and I just noticed that there was this older gentleman about 2 bar stools to the right. He had white, puffy hair, and, I just looked over, and I didn't think I was really, truly ready for conversation, but he looked like he was a sweet guy, and so we just started talking, chatter, hi, how you doing kind of stuff, and he started asking me what I did, and I told him that I do real estate investing and wealth building training, And we eventually started talking about the publishing industry, and then one thing kind of led to the next in the conversation. And then he revealed that his stepfather actually worked for the Ralston Society back in the 1930s, which is the publisher for Think and Grow Rich back then, and that he actually worked on Think and Grow Rich. And I was just shocked. And then when he told me that there was actually 2 chapters stripped out of the book right before, like literally right before it went to press, I was even more shocked. And then I started thinking about it. I bet you this guy's crazy. He's a kook. And so I said, I have a really bad headache. Here's my card. Email me. I'll be more than happy to send you some of my books for free. And I exited out of the scene. And so I didn't think I was ever going to hear from the dude ever again. And then he, a short time later, sent me an email saying that he was going to send me the 2 lost chapters. And then he mailed me a copy of the 2 lost chapters. And I'm still, in this moment, still in shock about that.
And you actually, if I remember, tried to find him or to see if he was legit, and you couldn't find him after that.
I couldn't find him. So the postmark's from Chicago, and he wrote like kind of a bogus P.O. box, kind of scribbled in the corner. And I actually hired a private investigator to look for this guy because I wanted to know more information, like, hey, where did you get these? Exactly who was your stepfather? Because I never got the guy's name. I didn't know anything. And I was unsuccessful in finding this man. I don't even know if his name is his real. I mean, he said his name is Roy Chamberlain. I don't know if that's correct. I don't know if that's a pseudonym. I have no idea.
It makes it more and more interesting, and I think someday we'll be seeing this as a movie of the week or something that will be coming out. And maybe if we can get some follow-up on it, we can turn it into a reality show, or at least
you can. Sure, for real, yes.
Now, I think if I try to summarize it for our audience, because we have limited time, the original book, I think one of the statements you make about Think and Grow Rich, success comes to those who are success conscious. Failure comes to those who are failure conscious. Could you explain and explore that a little bit with us?
So if you're constantly thinking about negative things, and I have to sometimes catch myself too, like, once in a while we'll be going through life and something will happen, or we'll have a full cup of coffee and we'll say something like, it'll be my luck that I get this all over my shirt. I mean, those are the types of things that are actually very disempowering, to say those types of things. Our words are extremely powerful. In fact, the very first words of chapter 1 in the book Think and Grow Rich is, thoughts are things. And so even more powerful is affirmations are also things. So when you're thinking things and then verbalizing things, then you start to immerse yourself in whatever consciousness you have. So everything that you think and say, if that's negative, then all the negative stuff is going to start pulling into your life. When you change it up, which you can change it in a fraction of a second, you could decide that you want to start thinking more positive, and you could decide you want to start speaking more positively about yourself and your environment around you. And when you do that, then you start pulling in the positive things. And I know that sounds Pollyanna and maybe stupid to some people, but it's really true. When you do verbalize and think negative things, that's the kind of stuff you're going to get, and that's what your brain is ultimately going to immerse itself in, and same on the positive side.
And again, a lot of these things are very simple. I think people might think it has to be super hard or convoluted or take 20 lessons at $20 a week or something. But if people just follow what's said in here, and I have actually tried to follow this over the years, and in that regard, I think I've had a lot of success. We want to talk more about that in the second part of the show, but at this point, I want to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Our guest today is Monica Main. She's the author of The Lost Secret, Unlocking the Hidden Chapters of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. We'll be right back after this brief break.
90.3 WHPC reminds you that as a parent, you can't help but look at your child and wonder what the future holds. You may dream about the possibility of your son or daughter becoming a professional athlete or a renowned heart surgeon. But while you're dreaming, consider this. The odds that your child will be diagnosed with autism are 1 in 68. Knowing the signs of autism and addressing it early can make a world of difference to your child and to you. To learn the signs, visit autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks, the Ad Council, and the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Monica Main, the author of The Lost Secret, Unlocking the Hidden Chapters of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Monica, when you speak to people, I know one of, in fact, perhaps the first step that's listed in your book is asking people and finding out what is their burning desire. What kind of answers? I know we all want to win lotto or make $1 million or $10 billion or something, but can you take us through some of the burning desires that you've gotten from people?
Well, it's mostly about money. A lot of it's money-based. But I tell people, listen, if it's just about money, I'm telling you right now, for one, money's not going to make you happy the way you think. And for two, you have to understand that that's probably not your real goal. I think everybody's real goal is to be happy, blissful, harmonious, just feeling really great, just feeling like $1 million rather than just having $1 million.
Exactly.
So the question then becomes, what is it that makes you feel so intense? And what is the goal that you would go after with all your might, no matter what, in an unstoppable way? And if it's not my wealth plan, which typically it's not, and I tell people all the time, don't follow the way I make money, follow the way you want to make money, because I don't have the end-all, be-all, answers for everyone on how to do that, but to find the way you want to do it. And it can't just be all about money. Maybe you just want to be a writer, maybe you want to be an artist, maybe you want to, go travel around the world and take pictures. But you have to find something that you truly feel so passionate about that you're willing to go to the end of the earth to get it.
Now, Monica, I want to let our audience know that if you're hearing this and say, oh, I wish my son could hear it, my daughter, my husband, you can go at any time, you meaning our audience, to nccradio.org and just look for the podcast of The Secrets of Success. And, of course, today's podcast is on The Lost Secret, and our guest is Monica Main. You can listen to this as many times as you need it until you get the book, and then I would advise you to do what I did, go through it. I call it a dirty book, and that's a great compliment because I have dog-eared pages already. I have pencil markings, arrows, asterisks, and all things that I want to go back and read time and time again, and to follow the advice of Monica and Napoleon Hill. These are the experts. If they know how to do it, they've been there, they've done that. Now, I think it's on page 21. You give us 6 steps to getting what you want. Can you talk about those 6 steps?
Well, this is exactly what Napoleon Hill was talking about, the 6 steps. And this is specifically, he talks about this in the reference of if you truly want to make a certain amount of money within a certain time frame. So, for example, he says that you want to fix your mind on a specific dollar amount that you want. He says not to be weak or, kind of wishy-washy. So you shouldn't say, I want a lot of money or I want to be rich. It has to be a specific dollar amount. And then, since money is energy, a lot of people don't realize, but money is not just grubby paper, it's actually energy. In order to receive that energy, you have to give something of equal or greater value to be able to deserve to get that energy, which is money. So what do you plan on giving in exchange for the money? Is it a service? Is it a product? What is it? Because you're just, listen, we see all of the statistics of all the people that win the lottery, and what happens to most of them?
They go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is because they receive energy that they are not prepared to give the equal or greater amount of energy in return for it, and this is why they lose the money. This is why they go bankrupt. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to, they just don't have the energy required to hang on to the money. So this is probably why you don't want to just win the lottery, by the way. But what energy do you plan on giving out? Is it in your art? Is it in what kind of product or service? Something to that nature. And then, in your mind, most importantly, to have some kind of date. So this can't be an open-minded thing where you say, well, someday I'll have, this. No, I want $100,000 cash in my bank in 30 days or less, okay? So that would be very concrete, very specific, very date-oriented. And then, once you have that in your mind on how much you want in a certain time frame, you then have to create a definite plan for carrying this out. And what I tell people is maybe you just don't have a plan for it. And so one of my secrets to success is to go out in nature, like take a beach day or take a walk in a forest by yourself and leave your phone at home. And don't be disturbed by anyone, and start to have these these ideas of inspiration that drop into your mind, and you'd be surprised at the types of things that are dropped in your mind once you've made up your mind that you want that $100,000 in 30 days. All of a sudden, you'll be getting these ideas from literally nowhere, and it actually comes from the ether. This is what Napoleon Hill talks about, where now that you're ready for it, you've readied your mind for it, you've made the desire very clear, you've made the time frame very clear, now you got to let the ideas flow. Don't worry about them not flowing, you just have to only worry about you being able to receive, which is by opening up your mind, which is why I suggest people go out to nature. And then you want to make sure that you just stay open and allow for those ideas to come in. And the second they come in, write them down, because those super awesome ideas are as fast as light. And sometimes you have such a fleeting idea, and 1 second it's there, and the next second it's gone, and you're like, I'll just write it down later. You never remember it later. We all know that. So just always have a pad of paper and a pen handy, because these awesome ideas always take place in such a fleeting, quick moment. And then you want to read your statement out loud about the money that you're going to get in 30 days, and then your plan on getting it. And the key to all of this, though, is to have that sense of conviction, that belief, that deep sense of faith, that unwavering sense of knowing that you're going to get it. And you can't let the doubt creep in, because the doubt is a killer, and it will kill your dream in a fraction of a second. So you do have to make sure that you know. You don't know how it's going to happen. You have a plan. You just know it's going to happen, and you cannot waver on that, because if you do, then you're going to find that you're going to not have the money after 30 days. And so this is the difference between what Napoleon Hill calls as wishing versus making yourself open and allowing for the money or whatever it is that you're trying to attract to come into your life.
Monica, as I'm reading that along with you in your book, I see that in the next section, the first sentence says, it takes no more effort to have what you do want than it does to have what you don't want in your life. So as a lesson to our audience, if you're tired of getting the things and having the things that you don't really want come into your life, why not give this a try? It's very simple. It's not costing you anything. You're listening to advice from Monica that she's passing along that's been used by successful people and probably more millionaires and multimillionaires than any other philosophies in the world for the last 80 years. Give it a try. What do you have to lose? Monica, before I get into the 2 new secrets that you found, I'd like to let our audience know that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're talking to Monica Main, M-A-I-N. Her book is The Lost Secret: Unlocking the Hidden Chapters of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And Monica, would you tell us the website and where we can get the book?
They can go to www.thelostsecret.com, or they can go to monicamain.com. It's available on Amazon as of November 5th.
Now, Monica, I've been trying to give our audience kind of almost a buffet tasting of desserts, because there's so much in this book. We couldn't cover it if we had 6 hours, but we talked about, and you mentioned about those lost chapters, the gentleman, kind of a mysterious gentleman who came up to you out of the blue and then sent you the chapters months later. Can you give us a little inkling about those lost chapters? I think it's 16 and 17. If I remember, there's something about vibrations in one of the chapters. Can you tell us what that is and how that relates to success?
So the 2 lost chapters, there's chapter 16, which is the first of the 2 lost chapters. It's called Transcending Above the Common Man. And this is the chapter, in a nutshell, that talks about negativity and how destructive negativity is. And it just doesn't talk about negative people, but also negative environment. And so if you find yourself, not succeeding in life because you have maybe a significant other or a mother-in-law or somebody that's really dragging you down, you literally have to create boundaries if you're ever going to think and grow rich and be successful. And sometimes you have to make the hard decision of cutting some of these people out of your life, or you decide that maybe success and wealth is not for you. But you do have to make some hard choices, and I think maybe this is one of the reasons why they might have cut it out of Think and Grow Rich, because a lot of people don't want to hear that they might have to cut some of their friends and family out forever to be successful.
And that was very difficult, of course. Let's go back 80 years. The world was very, very, very different then. Success was a new concept. This was one of the first people to ever write about it. So to talk about cutting someone out of your life or to changing your thoughts was almost mystical, I guess, at that time. And rather than being looked on as a kook, you wanted Napoleon Hill and the writings to be looked on and to be used, and as they were, to create millionaires and to create happy lives for people. You also mentioned, I think it's in chapter 17, something about something called the ether and summoning desires through this. Now, that's mysterious to myself, and I've been doing the Success Show for 31 years now. So can you explain what that is and how it relates to our everyday lives?
So the ether, the way Napoleon Hill describes it, is that there's the world of the seen and there's the world of the unseen. And so what we see every day, what we think is concrete, that's what we consider the world of the seen. We could taste it, touch it, smell it. That's the world of the seen. But he claims that the world of the unseen, which is all the stuff that we don't see, is the true power and magic behind getting the things that we want, because they're the things that actually formulate the thoughts and turn them into things, essentially. So he talks about the world of the unseen being the ether, and it almost goes more into a metaphysical, I guess, type of realm where he talks about things that a lot of people are not familiar with, and a lot of people that maybe they might doubt it because they don't see it. Just because you don't see air doesn't mean it's not there. And so, just because you can't see sometimes, how the sunshine is affecting your skin doesn't mean it's not affecting your skin. Just true. Because you don't see certain things doesn't mean it's not true. And so he claims, and I believe this to be 100% correct, is that the world of the unseen is most powerful, and he calls it the ether, which is almost like a magical realm, if you will. And it's not Harry Potter-ish, where it's, kind of strange and weird. It's actually very science-based. It's a quantum physics basic science, which most, if not all, scientists can stand behind now. I mean, maybe back in the 30s they couldn't, but they certainly can now. And so, you take a look at molecules and atoms and quarks and things that you can't see. They're very much real, but again, just because you can't see them doesn't mean that they're less real. In fact, they're more real because he states that when you have a thought and you focus on something, your thoughts can actually take those molecules and atoms and quarks and turn them into whatever your desire is if you focus enough on it, which is quite powerful and actually has quite a bit of magic in there.
Monica, I want our audience to know that if you're tired of your life, if you say it's time for a change, whether it's finding the right puppy, the right mate, just getting along with your family, changing the way life is going, The Lost Secret, Unlocking the Hidden Chapters of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich is the book you want to get hold of. It's by our guest, Monica Main, M-A-I-N. Monica, would you give us the website and where we can get the book once again? TheLostSecret.com, and it's available on Amazon as of November 5th. That magic word secret, as in the secrets of success, and the lost secret, is always enticing to all of us. I think we want to be part of this. And again, we thank you so much, one, for writing the book, for revealing some of these secrets and your story to us, and also for helping us today with the information you've given us about the book. Again, The Lost Secret by our guest, Monica Main. Thanks so much for being with us. We'd like to remind our listeners that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.